Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani, and even though you may think there's not a lot going on, we still have to fill 35 minutes, and that's what we will do here tonight. We're going to talk about the Olympic break. How does it affect the Penguins moving forward? Sidney Crosby has some interesting things to say. #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the Steelers and some of the decisions they have to make. With us tonight, we have guys who know this very well. Chris Adamski, Pittsburgh Tribune Review, Mark Kaboly from the Pat McAfee Show, and Mr. Brian Batko from the Post-Gazette. So, Brian, I'm going to start with you on this one. I'm going to give you a choice of quarterback. I think we all pretty much understand that Rodgers is most likely coming back. But let's say he wakes up tomorrow and has a bad back, feels his age, and decides I'm not. There's a free agency. There's a lot of guys out there. Who is the next Sam Darnold? Who could be a guy who could come in here and actually do what he did? Maybe not to that degree, but sort of similar.
First of all, Bob, obviously during this lull in sports, you needed the three most brilliant, creative, clever minds you could find for tonight's show, which is why we're here. So, no, I mean, there is no Sam Darnold this year because there's nobody this season who did what Darnold did in 24, which was have success over the course of an entire 17-game stretch. Now, does that mean that there won't be someone who can be a competent starter for a team in 2026? No. My personal preference, just from the small sample size that I've seen, but I know what I watched, is Malik Willis. I mean, he got coached up in Green Bay. Kaboly doesn't like it. I'm sure he'll tell us why. But he's mobile. He's got arm strength. And he finally found a staff that could teach him how to play quarterback in the NFL.
But a short sample size, that's a small one.
No sample size. Well, 150 career attempts.
Wait, did he not start games last year?
150 career attempts.
No sample size.
None. None that makes sense.
I guess he didn't play last year.
He played well in a big game for the Baltimore Ravens. He played well in that game.
I am not paying the guy 30, 35, 40 million
You're
bucks.
not paying attention if you think he has no sample size, but go ahead.
Very, very small. Me and you were about similar, right? 150, whatever. I am starting off with the obvious here. What are we looking at? The next Sam Darnold is none other than Brett Mason Rudolph. Wouldn't he be the next guy that fits that type of a role if you give him the opportunity to go in there and play 16, 17 games to have that best opportunity? There's nobody out there. I mean, we all know the free agents. They're all recycled guys. The Jacoby Brissetts.
Well, Daniel Jones had a pretty good run before
me and him have the same Achilles right now.
Mason Rudolph famously not recycled.
No, he's not recycled. He has an opportunity. Well, if you're telling me the best opportunity, I would say it's him. I mean, unless you want the Daniel Jones, the Jacoby Brissetts, the Tyrod Taylors of the world.
How about Anthony Richardson? That's
another one. Why would you want that guy?
Just throwing him out.
Mason Rudolph, and you're going to agree with me. Go ahead.
I kind of want to. I'm not going to lie. Guys, Mac Jones is the name out there that I think would be the best one.
Jones?
They have to trade for Mac Jones, okay? So it's not that simple. He's not making that much money. He did have this past year. He wasn't 14-3.
That's what I'm saying,
But he went 5-2. He also came from the San Francisco rehab agency for quarterbacks, which is exactly what Sam Darnold
Trey
did.
Lance, huh?
Yes, what Sam Darnold did. So that would be, if there's a name out there of somebody who could ascend next year, who has a first-round pedigree, who's kind of languished on a few extra teams, his resume to this point is very similar to Sam Darnold. Now, again, he's not a free agent, so it's not that simple. But if the Steelers chose to go that route, the 49ers even came out and said, John Lynch, they don't really want to trade him. But what are you going to say? You want to pump up his value.
Just give him T.J. Watt, right?
Well, if you're using that as a 5-2 record, I'll say Davis Mills is pretty good at 3-0, right? He came in.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
You know, if it was Mike Tomlin, it probably would be him, right? Because how much did he talk him up last year?
He did talk him up. All right, let's say Rodgers does come back. They, at some point here, Brian, have to figure out what are they going to do next as far as a long-term quarterback? The name Ty Simpson keeps coming up in this draft. Mendoza is going to go 1 overall to Vegas, most likely. He's about the only other name that rises to the level of first round. Some mock drafts have him going number 2 to the Jets overall. Is there a scenario under which you think they might get him?
Yeah, I mean, if Mike McCarthy studies him, evaluates him, watches him at the Combine, goes to the Pro Day in Tuscaloosa, likes what he hears out of there, then sure, maybe he does have the profile that fits what he wants to do offensively. He knows that better than any of us here on the outside in Pittsburgh or the draft gurus who are going to nitpick Ty Simpson, all the good, all the bad. I just don't really see it with him when I watched him last year with Alabama. I think he's a classic case of a guy who probably needed to go back and get another year. There's a bunch of Steelers fans I hear from who want the Mississippi guy, Trinidad Chambliss, to come out, and he's begging to go back to school. He won the injunction or whatever to get a 6th year, leaving this quarterback class even weaker. So maybe that's why Simpson wanted to be in it, but this just screams you're reaching for a guy again in the early 20s like you did in 2022 with Kenny Pickett.
Oh, Kenny Pickett. I just don't like it just for the fact if you're going the first round with him, he's obviously not a sure thing. Not a lot of things are sure things, right, when you talked about quarterback. But then you have to really give him 3-4 years, right? And that's a lot to spend on a guy that you're not quite sure about. I mean, in years past, we would know, right? You're talking about we don't know what Mike McCarthy. We know what Mike Tomlin would like and would not like. We don't know. We're all going into this blind because maybe this is a prototypical guy that Mike McCarthy does want, or maybe he looks at him and goes, and just flings him to the side. To me, I don't go there. I wait till next year when you theoretically have a better
Chris,
class.
though, they may not have a choice to get any of these guys, but they may have a choice to get a guy like Drew Aller in the middle of the rounds or somebody like that. Would you be at all in favor of that, knowing that those guys also are sort of similar to what you already have?
That's the thing, is we take at face value what Mike McCarthy, what Art Murray II said about Will Howard to be true, or what some of the Steelers brass has said to be true. If they actually do believe to some degree that Will Howard will give him some sort of chance to be able to show, or they have some belief in him to perhaps prove he can be a starting quarterback, then there's really, it would be redundant then to have another, I know he was 6th round, but another mid-round talent type guy. Why have 2 of them on the roster at the same time? If there's any hope to develop him in the eyes of Mike McCarthy, in the eyes of the new coaching staff, in the eyes of the Steelers organizationally, then there would be no reason really to do that to me. Now, if that might open in kind of lip service and just sort of like, well, what are we going to say? We're not going to trash the guy when we're coming in to take over, and why not give him a shot? But I think that, to me, that would tell me that they don't believe in Will Howard if they take a quarterback in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Well, I think another interesting point to make, though, that Mark kind of alluded to this is we don't even really know what Mike McCarthy does when he has to draft a quarterback early. I mean, he inherited Aaron Rodgers and he inherited Dak Prescott. So this is kind of a first for him, even though he does have as much experience in the NFL that the Steelers hired him for. But you know, he's had established franchise guys as 2 previously.
I still build out the rest of the roster and make that quarterback.
That would be my approach too.
Make that quarterback the last one in the room, so to speak, so he has every opportunity to succeed.
I think that's Omar Khan's thinking for sure.
What would be interesting to me is see is because now if they're not going to trade up, whether it be for a quarterback or maybe for another, maybe they will trade up for either a quarterback or another position in the 1st round. You have these projected 12 draft picks. Do you somehow kind of package some of those to get the draft capital? It's not that you're looking at 2027 for the quarterback, at least, it seems like, and unless they love Ty Simpson, which I'm not going to
Same situation as this year, though, where you were supposed to package all these picks for a draft that has Lenore Sellers.
Exactly. So what do you do? You have a lot of draft capital. It's hard for 12 rookies to make a team.
Right.
That's the first part. So you probably won't, but it's not that simple to say, oh, we'll trade some of our picks this year for next year. You have to find a partner and be able to work it out and everything.
What's tough now is you go back to college, you make a ton of money. So
and that
if
is
you're
what
a mid-round
Trinidad
pick,
Chambliss wants to do. He doesn't want to go. He has a year to grow more. He can make more money there than he would here, right? So I understand that whole thing, although the NCAA may have another, you know, I think they're appealing that, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to see how that goes. All right, we're going to talk more things coming up with the Steelers a little later about the Pirates and whether or not this panel believes they're going to be playoff bound this year. That and more coming up right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back. #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. We had a little family feud going on this week here in Pittsburgh between guys who are longtime Pittsburgh Steelers. Chris Adamski, whose side are you on in this? Ben Roethlisberger or Joey Porter? I still don't understand what prompted this to become an issue, but it did.
Well, the crazy part is I don't know what Ben said that was all that inflammatory. He said something on his podcast 2 months ago that was sort of, it was like maybe he should move on. It wasn't like Mike Tomlin should move on. The Steelers are done with him. It was like maybe it's best for him if he moves on.
Yeah.
He coaches Penn State.
Which was a widespread opinion.
Yes, and I thought it was kind of almost, he talked about coaching Penn State, which had to be kind of funny. There's a degree of tongue-in-cheek in that, I think. But it had happened 2 months ago, and so whether that stuck with Joey for that long or not, I don't know. But it was sort of interesting to peel back the curtain because you got pretty personal. You could have just said like I don't agree with it, but whatever. But you got a little
right.
personal.
That's what I was surprised at, considering that Mark, they were 2 weeks ago with that Hall of Honor. They were lockstep talking about each other in glowing terms.
Yeah, I mean, perfect timing too, right? Right after the Super Bowl, so it gets a lot of play here. I don't know if Joey Porter said anything that we didn't know about Ben in his first, 6 years?
Yeah, but that's old news.
Yeah, it is old news. It is old news, but it's old news to us. It's not old news to nationally. They're like being exposed. Now you're getting other people jumping in and putting their 2 cents worth in. Steven Nelson was here for like a year and a half. I mean,
I saw that.
Just shut up
I think he was here for 2 seasons. But yeah, I mean, well, his criticism, former Steelers cornerback Steven Nelson, was on Ben occupying as much of the percentage of the salary cap as he did. That was a whole other. But you're right. I mean, I'm not picking sides in this. I mean, I think they both have points. They both have areas where I can see the other side of it. I guess Joey Porter Sr.'s whole take here is he doesn't like the way that Ben has talked about the team and specifically Tomlin and thinks there's a code there.
James Harrison is talking.
Well, he laid into James Harrison as well.
You know, I mean, that's what you do when you have those.
He was not. I mean, we
podcasts.
totally ignore what he said about Harrison. He basically called Debo a phony, right?
Yes. I mean, what's worse, being called a bad person or a phony? I don't know. I mean, those are two
was rough.
pretty stinging remarks. But again, I'm not taking a side really. I think he may have gone a little bit too far when you start getting into the bad human stuff. And even his anecdotes from early in Ben's career, I think Ben himself has said that he was a jerk back then and he's worked hard to change.
Right?
Now,
he changed.
I think Joey doubts that he's changed because he also said that,
he coached
that's
3
what he
years
said.
with him,
He said when he came back as a coach at that point, you didn't even, reading between the lines, it's like you don't even really talk to Ben. There's no saying anything to him. He's above the team, which, geez, if we want to relitigate the 2019 offseason and everything that went on there, that was a whole can of worms with AB and
you
the
can
like.
select who you want to be friends with, and certainly all the offensive linemen, right?
Not Mike Adams, apparently.
Okay, Mike Adams is one, but you know what I mean. You can figure out who you want to hang with. You can't be best friends with everybody on a team. It's impossible to do that, isn't it, Mark?
They say Tom Brady did that in New England. He'd come up to every single guy and say hello.
And some would say that's a phoniness too, though. You know, it depends on what.
I mean, actually, Aaron did kind of that.
But,
Aaron did that.
But without Ben Roethlisberger, they don't win those Super Bowls. You know,
I just don't know what Joey gets out of it all. I mean, he said he wanted to be back in the building. I know for a fact Joey was upset for a while for not being in Hall of Honor. I mean, he made himself pretty known that he didn't like that as well. So he probably wasn't too thrilled with the organization as well. I mean, it is the organization that let his contract run out as well. So,
but they drafted his son too. You know,
they're going to pay the son too.
A lot of money. To do with not liking the organization. I mean,
well, I mean, he's saying keep your mouth shut about the organization, right?
Yeah, but by saying what he said, he's taking organizational stuff and putting exactly where he doesn't want it to go. Right. All right. It's just one of those things. You get a family feud once in a while, and you talk about it. So hopefully it'll be smooth. I guarantee you that on Ben's podcast this week, he'll take the high road. I don't think there's any value in doing anything.
What's Debo going to say, though?
Debo may have a different story. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pirates' expectations. No playoffs, wild card, or division. Those will be the three choices coming up right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Well, it's the first week of the entire squad being in Bradenton, Florida for the Pirates spring training, which will kick off. They'll play a lot of games until their opener against the Mets in New York. And so I want to ask these guys their expectations of this. Brian, start with you. Will they be a playoff team? Are they going to miss it? And if they get in, is it wild card, or do you think they're capable of winning a division?
Optimism abounds, right? It's that time of year. Everybody's batting 1,000. All the pitchers are undefeated. So, yeah, I mean, this is the time of year for hope, for sure. I'm just not quite there with the Pirates. I'm going to go with miss the playoffs, maybe finish above 500. I think that over-under that Vegas has set.
It hasn't moved much either.
Well, it's bumped up, I think, to 77.5, so I'd probably be right around there. I'm sorry, I'm just skeptical. I think they made some improvements this year, but much like every season with the Steelers, I'm not predicting them to finish under 500 until I see it. I'm also not predicting a breakthrough for the Pirates until I see it, so I'll be late before I'm right, maybe.
Why would you be skeptical? They haven't won anything since 1979. You're crazy here. But I'll keep an open mind. I mean, I think they're in a better position this year than they have been in a long time. So we'll keep an open mind there. But there's still a lot of question marks on this team. I'm not even talking about third baseman. We're expecting a lot out of a pitching staff that, their number 3 guys never pitched before in the majors, right?
Well, wait a minute. Now they had
Bubba Chandler
pitched last year, and he
here we
got
go
better
again with
as
your
the year
sample
went on.
size.
Well, once
Zero,
again,
and it's literally not
what I'm
zero.
saying is there's
It's a Malik Willis size.
Who's your catcher? Who's your third? I mean, there's issues. Plus, you have to now if O'Neal Cruz and everybody plays up to their standard, then yes, they have an opportunity. But until you show me, I'm going to be like you said. I'm very skeptical.
So you're going no playoffs.
I'm saying like 75 wins.
I wish Richie Walsh was here because I got Bucko fever, guys.
No, you don't.
He loves a Bucko fever. No, listen. Objectively, you're right. All these ads, it's like any other team in the league that adds like a $12 million player. It's like, well, if you're on, it doesn't even make an impact if it's a big market team. But they have addressed it. The offense is better, right? If everybody stays healthy, this pitching staff is supposed to be really good. They added an arm to the bullpen. There's enough here that if you go from the firing when Donnie Kelly took over and they were roughly a 500 team. I think they got themselves better. I think it's been bad luck over and over and over again for them. We're just underachieving to a point that I think they'll break out this year and I'm going to win the division.
Yeah.
We're crazy here, but I think
So all three of you are going to go not playoffs.
I'm going wild card. I'll go wild card.
Yeah. Leap of faith to hope these free agent signings and trades.
Well, they've
work
added
out,
200 runs batted in and 38 home runs that they didn't have last year.
How many times have we seen this story with the Pirates?
I'm just saying.
Suddenly, when they acquire a player, he forgets how to hit.
Then Rowdy Tellez goes to
forgets how to
Seattle,
pitch.
hits 25 home runs, right?
Yeah.
Boy, you guys are solid.
Yeah, I mean, Bob,
February.
1979.
Come on, can't we show a little optimism?
1979. Every year they start off hot.
Hey, AJ Burnett's at camp. Look out now. Batman returns.
And you know what he would say to you right now, Kaboly?
You're right.
Down.
Maybe he can pitch.
He still looks like he can. He's intimidating enough, I can tell you that. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Penguins coming back from the Olympic break in a week or so. We'll find out what's happening with them and this layoff. Has it hurt them or helped them? We'll get into that discussion next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, don't settle for anything less than #1 Cochran Kia's clearly better car buying experience. You can enjoy exclusive clear-cut pricing where you get their most competitive offer and you get it up front. Take advantage of exceptional lease rates and finance rates and choose from a lineup of hundreds of new Kia models. Experience clearly better car buying at #1 Cochran Kia, in-store, online. It's cochrankia.com. So now we're talking about the Penguins. And first I want to get into this because we're in the Olympic. It looks like a crash course headed on, Chris, between USA and Canada, the way both those teams have played. But Sidney Crosby, prior to this, was asked by Hockey Canada a question that, generated some debate. And that question simply was, what's your biggest accomplishment? He said, winning a Stanley Cup. He did not say scoring the golden goal in Vancouver for Team Canada, which, of course, Canadians took very personally. But when you think about it, it is the biggest grind in sports, isn't it? It's a couple of months of this stuff. To me, it's more difficult. Therefore, it's a bigger accomplishment. Do you agree with what he said?
I agree with what he said. If it wasn't for Hockey Canada asking the question, it was sort of bold by him to answer the question to the bite the hand that feeds you. They're like, we're playing for a gold medal here, Sydney. Well, that's actually secondary to me. So it's sort of a bold answer to the person who asked it or the entity that asked it, but it's absolutely the right answer. I mean, it's harder, especially if you're Canadian. Now, maybe for Latvia, if Latvia wins the gold medal, right? That's a bigger accomplishment for the Latvian guys who are part of that team than perhaps winning the Stanley Cup. But Canada, you're supposed to win the gold medal, right? I mean, if you don't, it's almost like a failure, I think. Even this year, like you talked about, USA being as good as they are. If Canada doesn't come home, Canada getting the silver, they're not going to be happy with that. So I guess I'm kind of making the case that it's important, but it's a lot easier for Team Canada.
I think that's what I took from that answer.
I give him credit, man. He could have easily fell back on Canada's entity is asking me this, so I will go down that route and answer how they want to, but he didn't do that. I mean, I'm just wondering if he would have said gold medal, what people in Pittsburgh would have said.
Same uprising. Right? People say, I mean, what is he going to do? They're both great.
I mean, he's won multiple, so it's not like...
Yeah, I mean, people make the point that, ask those guys who were on the Miracle on Ice team what they would say. But it's exactly, it's so different. But, I mean, even just pro sports since then has become so much bigger business than it was. And, people are so fragmented in their rooting interests that... And also, I mean, you made the point. In the Olympics, there's 2 or 3 realistic contenders.
And Russia's not even there, and they should be there,
I think. You need to fend off. In the NHL, if you get through that bracket, 16 teams where a hot goalie can carry you, a struggling goalie can ruin it for you. I mean, it is a huge accomplishment.
Plus, I mean, what do you play to win a gold medal? 5 games?
No.
6 games?
This round robin that's what I don't get, is why this pool plays for no reason. That nobody got eliminated. Everybody got just reseeded.
Well, they got reseeded, which is kind of dumb, right? It doesn't even Italy. They got trounced and they're still involved.
Essentially, all you can do is win 3 games in a row. And
that's what I mean. Now we're talking about 2 months of the Stanley Cup.
And if you win, well, it would have been 4 at that point.
All right. I want to talk about the break now because the Penguins are hot. They were a good team. Brian, are you of the thinking that the break helps them or hurts them? Because I go help in that they have guys like Malkin who need a rest, guys like Ben Kindle who's a young kid, hasn't gone through this. How do you feel about it?
I don't know that it helps or hurts them, but I am of the opinion that I don't think it's a huge deal either way because I think we've seen this team already battle back from some really bad stretches, some skids that, Dan Muse, give him credit, he helped them pull out of some of those slides. So, I mean, this isn't a skid, like you said. They beat the Sabres before the break. But, I mean, yeah, this is a situation where you're going to have a long layoff. It's going to take a team with some resilience to bounce back up from that. And, I mean, I think they've shown that they can do it.
Yeah, you know, the only thing that concerns me a little bit would be the goalies, right? You're giving them close to 3 weeks off. Now they got to jump in and they got to pick up.
Playing. He may win gold for Latvia. Who knows? Okay.
They got to pick up right where they left off. So if there's one little negative, I think would be if those goalies can get back into that rhythm that they were near the last couple of weeks before they went out.
I generally with Pomp on this one. I think it's you have a mix of the really old veteran type players. Now a couple of them are playing in the Olympics. They're not getting a break as it is, but I think there's probably something to that. And you're right, kindle a little bit of reset. I think what's more important, I think, what comes out of the trade deadline and how, and that's something we'll talk about, I'm sure, in future episodes.
Absolutely.
In terms of how do you approach the trade deadline? Are you buy, are you sell, and try to do both?
It will depend. It will depend on how they come out of this break. If they fall apart a little bit, I think you may see a different approach. Be intriguing. At least we're talking about that. I'm happy about it, given where they were last year. We'll come back and wrap up tonight's show right after this on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, it's been fun. We are done. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll do it again next Sunday night. We have much more to talk about right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Thank you to Brian Batko, Mark Kaboly, Chris Adamski. We'll see you again next week, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead.